Welcome back to Casual Watch Review channel. This week we're going to be looking at a couple of watches from Paulin, the brand. First time on the channel, although it's not the first time that somebody associated with the brand's been on the channel, because if you watch the live stream, see that Lucy from Watchbox Diaries has been on the live stream a couple of times. She also has her own amazing YouTube channel that you should definitely check out. These watches are very distinctive looking. They don't have the date on them, which, you know, I'm a huge fan of the date, so we'll definitely have to make a few comments on that. We've got two models that we're looking at today. We'll go through the review, but as always, most important thing is you let me know what you think in the comment section down below. So let's flip the camera around and dive into the review of two of these Paulin watches. Let's first do a little look at this box. How cool is that? Made of cork, the watch sits in this recess. There's no latch on it, and then it fastens with this paper clip device. But a really cool, I suppose you could use it as a travel case, I guess. I think it would certainly float, I'm guessing, because it's made of cork. Very unique, the first time that I've seen a cork case for a watch before. I've seen cork watch straps, but never a cork case. Paulin have been very kind at sending me two models in. So the first is the Model A Automatic on the leather strap. This is the one that contains the Joux-Perret Automatic G101 movement, which we have seen in the fairs that we looked at, and also the Jack Mason as well had this Joux-Perret movement in there. But this one is coming in at $970, so it is more affordable than those other two watches, although those other two watches did have bracelets included with them. Well, let's just first look at this. The watch brand Paulin is the sister brand to Anodised. In fact, it's a husband and wife team that own the brands respectively. Anodised bought the Paulin brand. Anodised, if you're not familiar, they have become somewhat infamous or legendary in the micro brand community. Legendary for the incredible process of making enamel dials, and then somewhat infamous for having very long wait lines, longer than some would joke Rolex, because the intricacies of making the dial is so time consuming that they have a very long wait list. But these Paulin watches, these are immediately available on their website. I'll leave a link in the description down below. This one is a 39mm case. This is available in automatic, a manual wind version, and a quartz version of this watch. Quartz is obviously coming in a lot more affordable, around the $485 mark. One of the interesting things about Paulin is that they concentrate a lot on design. This is a very unique design of a watch. Well, there's a lot of familiarities. It does look like a 70s Tonneau cased watch, but it has some interesting elements to it. For example, this case with bolts on the side. This outer case attaches to this inner ring. This black steel ring in the center is where the watch itself is housed, and we can see that the crown is attached to the black steel part. The rest of the case is sheath, and it's attached via these screws, so it gives it a really interesting look. Retro, but also a very modern look to the watch. The dial made in Germany, and then the dial finishing is done in Glasgow, which is where these watches are assembled. And we can see at the bottom Paulin, the name, and then Glasgow at the bottom. Glasgow is where you would typically see Swiss made. So I like the fact that they've done that there, and then they've kept the rest of the dial clean, with Paulin, the logo, being there at the 5 o'clock position. Also, it's interesting to see a watch that has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and 12 and 6 as the markings, instead of, you know, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, as it goes round there. They've chosen to just go every subsequent number up in 2s, which I think is quite an interesting look. Also, we have that beautiful, vibrant yellow on this particular watch, and then distinctive hands. One of the interesting things about the hands is this little cutout at the bottom that perfectly matches the painted indices. So when the hour hand goes round, you can see the indice through the hand, which again is another nice touch. You can tell that a lot of design in thought has gone into this watch, and it's really a trademark of Paulin, these modern retro futuristic designs. This one, for example, I think has a lot of mid-century elements to it. The watch is coming in at a great size for most wrists. My wrist is 7.2 inches, 39mm case, just over a 44 from lug to lug. And because it's using that Joux-Perret movement, it's surprisingly only 10 millimeters thickness. Wears very well, light on the wrist, beautiful, supple leather strap on here with a nicely finished buckle and tang. So I think you're getting a lot of watch for your $970. There is a couple of things to note. First off, I would love to see the date on here, but that's by the by. I'm also going to make that comment about this watch. I just love watches with the date on it, but you don't buy a Paulin watch if you want a watch with the date on it. So I have to forgive them, even though that's a personal grievance of mine. The back of the case is transparent, and this is glass on the back here. It doesn't say what glass. I'm guessing it is a mineral crystal, but the front of it is Hesalite or an acrylic. I've seen other reviewers talk about how this is classic and how you get a really distinct look from Hesalite, but I've got to be honest, it doesn't match up anywhere near to sapphire. I know that a lot of brands, Laurier, do this. They have a real romantic spiel about Hesalite, but I owned a Hesalite Speedmaster for a long time, and the truth is, it is a pain in the ass having Hesalite on a watch. It scratches very easily. Sure, you can use Paulin watch to get out a lot of scratches, but if you get a deep scratch, there's no amount of Paulin watch that is going to get that off. So just bear that in mind. I would have much preferred to see this, especially at the $970 mark, having a sapphire crystal on it. Also, for my liking, I wish the hands were just a little bit longer. For me, they just look a little bit short. The second hand is a nice size, but overall, if you like the look of this watch, when you see it in person, you're just going to be amazed by it. They are a really distinctive design. Okay, next up, let's look at the Neo. This Neo is coming in at $614. This one is a 38mm case, a bit more of a traditional looking case, but again done to a very high standard. Nice to see we have drilled lugs on there, really nicely proportioned, beautifully proportioned crown. Again, glass on the back, but unfortunately, we have acrylic on the front. This is an anodized aluminium dial, so there is some variance in colors and also variance between each of the dials, is my understanding. So they have to concentrate a lot on getting the anodizing to match in the batches, but it gives it a really nice look. This looks sort of maybe a rusted metal look. Contrasts beautifully with the silver minute hand there and then the black hour hand. The numbers are a bit more spread out, and we have more of a domed acrylic on here as well with a polished bezel. So this one has a more retro look, I would say, to it. This watch on the wrist, 47.4 from lug to lug with a 38mm case. This one is coming in slightly thicker because we are using that NH35A movement, so this is a thickness of 12.1. The movement is the NH35A, but they have removed the date position, so there isn't a ghost date position, which is nice. I mean, I would have loved to have seen the actual date on this, but they have removed the ghost position. I think for $614, this is right at the upper end of what I would be comfortable paying for a watch that has the NH35A movement in it. In comparison to other NH35A watches that we've seen on the channel, this one is done to a very high standard. You're getting a very unique look and feel to these watches. They also make a GMT version of this watch, which again, they don't put the date on it, which I think is unforgivable on a GMT, but that's enough ranting from me about the date on watches. This is the NH34A that they're using in this GMT watch. So again, another Seiko movement. It's a shame that they don't make this one in a quartz like they do with the other watch. I think this would be nice in a quartz watch if this was around the $500 mark with a quartz movement instead of the NH35A. That's probably what I would go for. Really interested to know what you think in the comment section. So a big thanks to Paulin for loaning these watches into the channel. These are back out in the post to them. And a big thanks to Lucy from the Watchbox Diaries, who works for Paulin, who sent these over for me to have a look at. I've been dying to look at a Paulin watch for a long time, actually, and they didn't disappoint. If I was going to pick one, I would probably go for this one.
because I think for 970 with that Joux-Perret movement in them, which has been taking the micro brand community, or the small independent watch brands, I should say, community by storm, I think is a great value on this one. I would have liked it a little bit better, certainly if it had the date on and if it had sapphire on there, but overall I think this one is probably the one that I would pick.
More importantly, what did you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you're new to the channel, love it if you hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up and the bell notification, and I'll see you all next time on Casual Watch Reviews.